Good evening, Pastor. We're so happy to have you here with us. And at the BAM code this month, we are talking about the legacy of mothers, and we are so happy to honor mothers who have come to be with the Lord. And we can't wait to talk about Mama, who is with God, and our impactful life. So, Pastor, when you think about your mother, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I can't but remember her mixture of toughness, of discipline, and tender love. Every day I remember her. I remember her face, the structure of her face, her smile, and her firmness, her toughness. And I can still see her supreme confidence. My mom had supreme confidence. Never once did I see her face shake. Never once did I see her exhibit fear.
Wow, that's interesting. So, what would you say were some of your fondest memories of your mother from your childhood, and how did she influence your early life?
Oh, she was a great influence in our early life. Um, I remember in those days when we were much younger, my brother and I, there's 1 year, 9 months between us. One would be on one side, pulling her cheeks, cuddling her, rubbing her. The other would be on the other side, sucking her cheeks, and she'll be in the middle, tickled and all that, and we'll be there 30 minutes, 45 minutes before we go to bed, and so on and so forth. And we did that for a season until one day she just said, "It's enough. People are grown up. All that must stop." And it stopped, and so on and so forth. In those days, we would leave the house, we would go to her farm. She had a farm on Saturdays. We go there with the workers and we plant corn, we harvest corn. We eat what they used to call ketefuru. Ketefuru is corn roasted in its skin. So it had a special flavor, fresh corn roasted in its
Wow,
skin. I can still
yummy.
remember all those days. And she had a green 404, and we all tumbled in the green 404 and do all those things. It was really, really a very stable, predictable, practicable, loving, and disciplined childhood.
How did your mother contribute to your spiritual development and faith foundation?
Enormously, I can boldly say that I am born again today, largely due to the grace of God and the influence and impact of my mother, direct impact of my mother. Um, just before I became born again, I had said a prayer to God that I really wanted to know Him. And people now started talking to me about Jesus. And my stomach and my heart began to receive those conversations. But I remember it was my 31st into my 32nd birthday that she said to me that she was going to come and spend that birthday season with me. I think my birthday was on a Monday or so, or maybe on a Sunday, I can't remember. And she arrived on a Saturday. As much as I tried to discourage her not to come, but she insisted and she came, and she would wake me up at night and we would pray.
Oh,
And the first night I had noticed that there was a marked difference between how I felt the next day after prayer and the previous day. So the second night she woke me up again, we prayed. The third night I think she was a bit tired. She didn't wake me up. I went to wake her up. And I said, "Mommy, let's pray." And then she left. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want her to go, but I wasn't weak enough to admit to her that she should stay. But she promised me that she would come back the next Saturday with a pastor, and they would talk to me, and I could ask him all the questions I needed to ask him. And then she came back the next Saturday with Pastor. It's now called Apostle Popola, who was like her pastor in Ibadan in those days, and he spoke to me about Jesus. I asked him all the tough questions I could. He seemed to have all the right answers. And then eventually he said to me, "Would I want to give my life to Jesus?" And I said, "Why not? I've done many things. Let me try this Jesus." And that's how I became born again. My mother was in the corner of the room praying. Apparently, what she was
Oh,
doing was praying in tongues,
yeah.
and so on and so forth. So I owe my conversion or my being born again largely to my mother's intercession and her work on me. So, Mom, thank you.
Wonderful. Were there specific scriptures or biblical teachings that your mother emphasized or modeled for you?
Well, not really. Her character and her behavior was enough modeling for me. But of course, Psalm 91, Psalm 23, things like that were very, very well established in our house. We were a very, very spiritual house. We went to church on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, my mother went to 3 or 4 churches: All Saints Church, the Anglican Communion, Mrs. Lagunju's Church, Aladra, in Ekotedo also. Yes, Ekotedo. And then, of course, eventually she ended up in Pastor Reverend Apostle Pokwala's church.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how we moved around in those days.
How did your mother handle life's challenges such as hardship, loss, or disappointment? And what did you learn from her example?
Like I said before, my mother never exhibited fear, never exhibited anxiety, never exhibited any sign of failure. She was tough, she was courageous, she kept going. She challenged the status quo, she stood up to any man.
Well,
It doesn't matter who you were, my mother would tell you the truth. She would speak truth to power. And
well,
she really worked very hard and competed fiercely for whatever she earned or made in life. And she had no problem telling people off and telling them where to get off. She was bold, fierce, courageous, and fearless. Never once did I see my mom exhibit any sign of fear.
wow, wow. How has that shaped you now in your adult life and in your leadership style and your position of leadership? How has that fearlessness of your mother, how has it come together to shape you to who you are today and in your ministry?
Well, what my mom gave us, Aswe, myself, and of course my sister, was confidence, confidence, courage, and confidence. Okay. She also gave us humility because she made us put our feet firmly on the ground and let us realize that we're not children of privilege or children of rich parentage, and that everybody needed to work hard and make their own way in life. So she made sure that we were not spoiled, and she made sure that she disciplined us very much. So we're very disciplined people. We're largely very humble people. We're very approachable people, and we try to be kind and generous. Okay. The only thing that we have tried not to inherit from my mom were her flashes of temper. My mom could be a bit angry sometimes. And when she was angry, she was angry. So I've tried to remove that aspect from my life. People look at me and say to me, "You are calm, you are this, you are that." But the truth is that those who are very close to me know that I have flashes of anger. Okay,
Hmm.
from time to time, and I can flash.
Really?
My anger, even just now, one of my ministers was telling me that he's beginning to see more and more of those flashes of anger. So that's another warning that I need to calm down and
Wow.
take it easy.
So, as your ministry goes by every day and you have um, different women that you minister to, in what ways or what message would you like to share with mothers everywhere based on the lessons you learned from your own mother?
The prayer that I pray is that we have an ethical, morally upright, and disciplined society in Nigeria. And I'd like to appeal to all mothers to have that sense of value, that sense of ethics, that sense of morality, that sense of discipline, and to imbibe that to their children, that sense of fairness and competitiveness. The home is the first place that a child learns from. And the reflection of our society today is a reflection of what's going on in our homes. And the homes are breaking down. The fathers are absent, the mothers are indisciplined. The next thing I want the mothers to do is to give their family hope and courage. Hope and courage and home training. Very, very important. It's a bit missing in some aspects of our society today. And those are the things that our mother gave to us. And those are the things we're trying to give back to the world. And then confidence, supreme confidence that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And then humility and patience. That will go a long way in building very strong homes that have the right values. So our sense of value in our home was extremely, extremely important. The respect for hard work, the respect for mankind, the respect for other people. My mother taught us to be very, very respectful of
Mm, thank God for Mama. How do you? Okay, just before then, I can see a book. And since we are talking about legacy, could you please just very briefly tell us about this book?
people. Well, this book is called Ighodalo, A Worthy Legacy, and it was a book I wrote after my father died
Oh, okay.
with my writer, Ojion Imokwede is her name. So I got her to go around my village to get people to talk about our family, to get the historical background of our family, my grandfather, my great grandfather, who they were, what they stood for, my aunties and my uncles. So she generally went around our village interviewing different people and getting their opinions so that we could put together the trajectory of our lives and know the legacy that we came from. During my father's lifetime, this same Ojon Imokwede had worked with him and gotten him to tell his story and to give his history. So this is a sequel to that. And I really thank God for my father. While my mother gave us a lot of discipline, a lot of structure, a lot of hard work, my father taught us patience, kindness, being gentlemanly, being civil, being polite. My father was an extremely kind man and very, very humorous and very, very patient. He too, ironically, under strict and great provocation, had flashes of anger, but 95% of the time it was calm, it was respectful, respectable, and all that. And he too showed courage, phenomenal courage. I never saw my father flinch. I never saw him retract. I never saw him show fear. From time to time, you see a slightly worried look on his forehead, but not for long, because he was a very, very courageous man. And he took what life gave him with equanimity. He was never tired, never fed up, never afraid of anything. And very, very jovial and very, very kind man. Jerry, I salute you.
Wonderful, wonderful, fearless parents. How would you continue to honor your mother's memory and legacy in your life and ministry?
Well, what I inherited from my mother was her ministry, the ministry of restoration into holiness. And the ministry used to do three, four things. Number one, pray for Nigeria. Pray for Nigeria on a daily basis. So in my mother's home in Ibadan right now, every day, they pray for Nigeria, and I'm responsible for that. The second thing was to go around speaking to different people in Nigeria, breaking the yokes over this country and speaking truth to power and making sure that people came and were restored into holiness and righteousness. And then the third aspect of the ministry is to provide a center where people can come and retreat, where people can come and train, where people can come and refresh. That's what my mother used her inheritance, her legacy, or the results of her hard work to do. She ran a poultry and then built this chapel and this recreation center or this retreat center in her home. So that's what I inherited, that's what I do, and that's what I used to keep her name alive. Of course, in her homestead of Okegbo, I run an annual scholarship for students, which I do in her name and in the name of her family. In our homestead in Ewohimi in Okaigbe, we also give out foundational things, support schools, dig wells and boreholes in the name of both my mother and my father to keep that name alive. And every 14th of February, we go back to Ibadan to remember her and to celebrate her and to thank her and to thank the Lord who made her for making her our mother.
Beautiful. I know that you recently celebrated how many years?
20 years, like yesterday,
Wow.
since she left,
Wow.
like yesterday.
Wow. What do you miss most about your mom?
I miss her warmth. She was a very warm and cuddly woman. I miss that very much. I miss pulling her cheeks. I miss kissing her on the forehead. I miss just sitting with her and hearing stories about Nigeria and so on and so forth. I miss her intellectual capacity. I miss her fearlessness. I miss her reassuring presence. I miss my mom. Olayegbe Mosumola Akitunde Ighodalo. Ọmọ ọlọ́jọ̀mọ̀ ọlọ́gbẹ́ ńlá ilé igi ẹ̀sìn. Happy Mother's Day. Oluwalope, Asurime, and myself, and all your grandchildren, and now great-grandchildren, say we love you, we appreciate you, we thank you, we miss you so much. God bless you, Mom. Every time I go to Ibadan, I just think that the door will open and you will just pop your head out or head to your room and we see you curled up in your bed like typically you are. But alas, it's not to be. But we've kept the house and your room intact like it was the day you left for hospital in February 2005. A great woman.